morning. Topo and I are out doing a little day hiking this morning. I thought it'd be a good time, given that I just passed a milestone birthday here, to give you some tips for older hikers. These are ones that you haven't seen anywhere else. At least pretty sure you haven't. I couldn't find them anywhere. So I'm going to go ahead and rule out the use trekking poles for stability. Start early and take it slow. Don't pace with younger hikers, and hiking your own hike, and taking plenty of breaks, and stretch before starting, and frequent nighttime trips to the bathroom, and using new technology, and lowering your pack rate. I'm going to skip all that. None of that's on the list that we're going to talk about today. So stick around. We're going to check into some stuff that you probably haven't heard. All right, so one of the first items on our list, and at our ages, all of our bones and joints don't necessarily work like they used to. I'm not one that I'm always taking anti-inflammatories, but when I know I've got a trip coming up and I'm probably going to be sore a little bit after we get into it, I go ahead 2 or 3 days ahead of time and I start preloading on anti-inflammatories. There's one busy little dog down there. Wish I had her youthful exuberance. But no, I'm stuck with all this. Aging a few miles on me. So if you're like me and your back doesn't feel the greatest in the world in the mornings, it's getting harder and harder to get up off the ground, hey, make the shift to a hammock for sleeping. It takes all the back issues out of it, gives you a few more options for setting up. Now, obviously you do have to make sure that you got trees around, but when you get used to it, it works really well. One pro tip, so if you have bursitis in your shoulders like I do, I don't like the gathered in hammocks that tie to one point because they have a tendency to squeeze your shoulders in. Look at the bridge hammocks with the spreader bars across there. Life-changing. And speaking of hammocks, remember those frequent bathroom trips that we talked about in the very beginning that we weren't going to talk about? Hammock, you don't even have to get up, at least for the guys. Roll over, hang yourself off the side of the hammock, do your business. I will tell you, it works really great if you set up on a little bit of a hill. Be sure to set your gear up uphill, pee downhill. Most of the nights, I don't even get up out of the hammock. Now, admittedly, on this next one, I may be a little bit biased. Our ages, starting to have fewer and fewer friends more often than not. Get a little dog. They make great companions. She is always excited to go out with me, even when no one else is. They're wonderful ears way out on the trail. They hear, see, smell things that we typically don't, or at least long before we do. They're wonderful little security alarms. Do I depend on her to defend and take care of me? No. I love having her though as an alarm out on the trail to let me know what's around before I know it. I would say don't be the crabby old man on trail. But honestly, Hiking Rev beat me to that one on one of his videos. So I will add a caveat to it. Part of that includes realizing that most of the younger hikers are going to treat us like their dad or granddad when they're out on the trail. And if you're one of those that maybe still trying to fight the urge and deny the fact that they're getting on up there in years, sometimes that one stings a little bit. Just understand, they're just being polite. Now, if you're at least as old as I am, you remember this lady.
I've fallen, and I can't get up.
We're sending help immediately, Mrs. Fletcher.
God, that brings back memories. How many times did you joke about that commercial right there? I know I did like 1,000 times. Usually with my grandmother, oddly enough. Regardless, it kind of brings us to our next one. We're older. We're going to have slips and slides and falls. Things like that are going to happen. It is our natural inclination to, one, look and make sure no one saw us, but then pop back up. Guys, we're a little more brittle than we used to be. Before you go trying to spring up off the ground, take the time, make sure all your bits and pieces are moving before you try to hop up. Start with your little phalanges, little fingers here, your toes. Make sure you can move those comfortably. That, move my hands, wrist, elbows. So start moving from those smaller joints up to the bigger ones. Slowly try to ease up, make sure the back's okay. Just don't try to spring up off the ground. We're a little more brittle than we used to be. You like me and you never leave the house without a pair of readers. Actually, here, my wife picks at me. Dig my key ring out. Picked up these things the other day. There's a slide out pair of readers in there. Yeah, I'm officially old. My wife picks at me constantly about being old. She's just a few years younger than me, but boy, she milks it like a Jersey cow. She definitely doesn't look her age. I definitely look mine and then some. If you're like me and you carry readers everywhere you go, hey, in a pinch, don't forget, when we were little, we used to use magnifying glasses to set ants on fire. You gotta have a campfire. Readers will work, as long as you got sun. Well, this is another one that stings a lot. My kid asked me a while back, he's teenage years now, getting into the late teenage years, which is pretty damn scary. He asked me a while back, he's like, why are you always going out in the woods and trekking off and trying to do things? My answer to him was really actually pretty simple, because I know one day I won't be able to. And we're all going to get there at some point. We can stretch this out as long as we possibly can, but at some point Father Time's going to catch up. We're not going to be able to do it. So take the time now, record things, take lots of pictures. I enjoy going back and reliving some of those adventures. And at one point in our lives, that's all we're going to have. I definitely have trips that I wish I'd taken more pictures, gotten more video, just to make it easier to go back and relive those. Take the time and do that step. Your later self will thank your today self. Yeah, at this point too in life, we're probably all eating a lot of pills. Whether it is vitamins, which is most of what I'm eating, but just the run-of-the-mill maintenance meds that we're probably all been tossed onto. Long gone are the days where we probably only have one doctor involved in our life. I go through, which I did like the Hiking Rev's suggestion of using little portion packs, the little tiny pill bags, so that you group everything together by day. 2 caveats on that one. If you're one that you can't take all your meds at one point, be sure to move them towards something accessible that you can get throughout the day, so I'm not having to stop and unpack everything to get to the next round of medications. And then also get really familiar with the side effects, because some of those are going to make us, this is less of a problem when we're sitting in our house, but more of an issue out on trail. Some of those are going to make us far more light sensitive, so more prone to sunburn. It's going to make us a little more, oh, there comes the sun. It's like full on divine there. Some of them are going to make us a little more susceptible to stuff like altitude, make us a little more tired. Some of us may make us a little more dizzy if we're out worried about our footing. That could be an issue. Get really familiar with the signs and symptoms of the complications that go along with those. Look at them with trail eyes and not home eyes. Alright, so I'll say this one kind of quiet so that everyone doesn't hear. Not that there's anyone around, but I'm too old to run from anything on the trail. And I'm smart enough to know that I don't want to fight anything on the trail. So for anything that does pop up on the trail, be prepared to not play fair. Whether it's a couple of dogs run up on you on the trail, which I've had happen on more than a few occasions, or it's the 2-legged stuff, be prepared to defend yourself and realize that I'm not going to try to relive some Toby Keith as good as I once was. Yeah, no, I'm not getting into that. But even if I win, it still sucks tomorrow. Alright. Any chances we ever had of being a magazine model, unless it's for your new subscription, unless it's for your new monthly edition of the AARP magazine, all those days are behind us. We're old. We have permission now at this point to look like a dorky old guy. So if that means big hats, if it means sunscreen, if it means those really tall white socks that we used to pull up to our knees when we were kids, rock it. What we don't want, skin cancer at our age. I don't want to be walking around with gauze patches all over my head because I got everything cut off. All those years of us running around unprotected at this point, unprotected from the sun, guys. It's going to catch up with us. It's going to catch up with us fast. Cover up. For our last little tip here, I'll tell you about the first woman to solo hike the Appalachian Trail. Her name was Emma Gatewood. This is back in 1955, if I'm not mistaken. Hiked the entire, almost 2,200 miles of the AT, and was pretty much carrying an army blanket and a raincoat and a shower curtain, and I think they said she hiked it in kids' sneakers. She was 67. So she can do that. You can go out there and hike, backpack, and enjoy it at least a little while longer. Alright, so hopefully you guys enjoyed my rambling musings while we're on the trail today. Picked up a nugget or two that you can use. Even if you're not an old hiker and you're out there doing it right now, chances are you're going to want to do it when you are. So hope you found those useful. Picked up a couple nuggets, and if, like me, you're out on the trail doing this today, just remember, left foot, right foot, repeat. We'll see you out there next time.